Hello everyone, welcome to this Financial Strategy Consultants. Today we are going to discuss about reading number 7 of CFA Level 3 curriculum LOS 3. The first two LOS are already in the video series. Please watch them before reading this to get a better understanding of these sessions. Now, in this one we are going to study first about bounded rationality. So as you can understand from the name itself that here the we are talking about rationality which is constrained from some foundations. That's why it is called bounded rationality. So we have already studied about rational decisions and rational economic man, where we have said that in traditional finance we assume that a person has a lot of knowledge about everything and he consider every information before taking a decision, and his decision is ideal decision. But in reality we know that our decisions are from our ideal. So what a real person does is he basically uses all the relevant information given to him or he can get from various sources, but he doesn't have the information of everything, every aspect of his decision. Whatever information he has, he uses them at best of his knowledge and then try to make a best solution which he thinks is good for him. So in this way he satisfies himself. That means he satisfies himself by making a decision which is sufficient for his need. So satisfies means a word combined from satisfy plus suffice. So something which is sufficient for him, which is giving him what he is expecting, then he makes that decision, even if that is not the best decision for him. So for example, the most of the people around, if you see in a lot of countries, they go for fixed deposit. Fixed deposit gives you a decent return with very low risk, but is it the best option for each and every individual? It's not. There are other avenues of investments like government securities where a person can get a really decent return with very low risk. And there is also a possibility that the person has a very high risk tolerance and he can get a very good returns on equity or even other avenues, and he is able to bear those risk of those investment options, but he is not looking at them because he is satisfied with the return he is getting from the fixed deposit, and he is getting sufficient return according to him. So that's why, based on his limited knowledge, based on the bounded rationality, he made a best decision for himself, even if it is not the most suitable and best decision in the real sense. Now, the other theory which we are going to discuss in this video is prospective theory. So, prospective theory is basically a method of deciding on a particular decision among various options. So, there are two phases of prospective theory. One is editing phase, framing phase, where you generally try to frame your questions, frame your choices by doing some kind of operations, mathematical operations, which we are going to discuss let now. And the second phase is evaluation phase, where you are is actually going to make decision by calculating the perceived value or utility of that decision of those options for you. So first, in editing phase, the first part is called codification. So in this operation, what people do, they generally assign values to gains and losses based on some reference point. For example, suppose my cost is $100. So in that case, my reference point is $100. Anything more than 100 will be a gain to me. Anything less than 100 would mean that I am getting incurring a loss. So that's the way codification happens. The second part is called combination. In combination, what we see is that people try to combine the outcomes, the same outcomes, and add their probabilities. So you can see here in the first outcomes, you can see 10% expected return is there for 20 and 30 both probability percentages. So they combined it, this 10%, and made its probability as 50%. So that's what combination does. The third part is called segregation, where we generally try to remove the risky portion and the risk-free portion from each other. So you can see here that in the example there is a chance that 80% you will get $300, and there is a 20% chance that you will get $200. That means $200 is a sure shot for you. So that is a risk-free part where we are going to get 100% chance of $200, whereas the risky prospect is that we will get an extra 100, which is 80% of the times will happen and we won't get anything extra in the 20% of the times. So that's a risky prospect of it. Now the fourth part is cancellation. In cancellation, what we do is we generally cancel the similar expected returns, and we try to only keep what the returns which are going to be different from the previous one. So there are two proposals. You can see that 5 and 10% returns are there in both, but their probability is different. So the lesser 0.33 probability is removed from both of them, and the rest of the probabilities are kept for proposal B, whereas for proposal A only the probability of 15% is kept because that can't be subtracted from anything in proposal B. So that cancellation is where you are going to remove the similar things. Now the next phase is called simplification, where you try to simplify the things. Like if there is a probability of 51% or 49.9% or something like that, you try to make them a common number like 50%, 40%, 60%. So that's how we do simplification. And the last part is called detection of dominance. If there is any outcome which is completely dominated by others, for example, there are two risk-free options. One is giving 7% return and other is giving 10% return. You are going to remove that 7% return from your choices because you are obviously getting better return at the same risk. So that's why the dominated part 7% return is removed. That's called detection of dominance. So based on this editing phase, there are some preference anomalies which happen. So as we have seen in the cancellation phase, where we are going to remove some of the similar aspects and we only focus on the distinguished aspects of proposals. So in such a case, there could be cases where we can make some wrong choices because of this cancellation. So this kind of effect is called isolation effect. This is one type of preference anomalies which has been given to us in this reading. So let's look at an example to understand it in a better way. So there is also a called framing which makes your preference incorrect. So you can see here that there are first frame, there is a frame one where you can see two gambles. In first gamble there is 25% chance that you will get $300 $3,000, whereas a 75% chance that you won't get anything, and in such a case your expected return is 750. Whereas in gamble B you have 20% chance that you will get $4,000 and 80% chance that you won't get anything. So here you can see that your expected return is $800. So overall you can understand here that gamble B is giving better return, that's why you should choose gamble B. But let's see another frame. Here if you go and just try to look at the expected returns, you can see gamble C is similar to gamble A and gamble D is similar to gamble B. So your choice should be gamble D. But the issue here is if you see the kind of framing they has been done for these gambles. In gamble 1 it is given that 75% probability that you will get out at the first stage only with nothing in your pocket, and in the second in the other thing is that there is 25% probability that you can move to second stage. Now in second stage there is 100% chance that you will get $3,000. So probability wise the expected return is 750. In gamble 2 you get 75% chance of losing the game in the first stage itself, whereas there is 25% chance that you will move to second stage. In the second stage again there is 80% chance that you will get $4,000 and there is 20% chance that you won't get anything. So the overall the net expected result is that you will get $800, but still you will choose gamble C because there is certainty in this test too, whereas in gamble D there is no certainty. So based on that certainty assumptions that people choose certainty over probability, people are going to choose gamble C even though they have chosen gamble B in the previous frame. That's what is called framing bias, which we are going to discuss in detail later. And this is one kind of reference anomaly as well. Now we are going to look at evaluation phase. In evaluation phase, we assign probability weights to expected outcomes. So you can see here the formula is U equal to WP1 VX1 plus WP2 vx2 and so on. So here x1 x2 are the expected outcomes, p1 p2 are the probabilities, w are the bets, v is the value. So in exhibit 5 you can see that there is a reference point. Towards again you can see that people are getting very little pleasure with more and more gain, but with loss they are feeling more and more uh, bad or worse. So you can understand that people are loss averse instead of risk averse from this graph as well. But that means that they won't feel same pleasure for a similar gain as much pain they will feel when they lose a similar amount. So a $50 loss is much more than a $50 gain. That's what a loss aversion explains you. So this is what we are going to understand from these examples. Here in situation 1, it is given to you that you have 50% chance of $150 winning and 50% chance of losing $100. So there is a possibility that some people would choose this bet, but most of them would reject the gamble because they don't want to lose $100 in the hope that they may get $150. General theory says that it should be at least 200. The gain amount should be at least two times. That means if there is a gain of $200 and a possibility of 50% chance that you may lose 100, then quite a few people would choose this one. But suppose we frame it in another way where you have a sure shot of losing $100 with certainty, and there is a gamble where you can have 50% chance of winning $50 and 50% chance of losing $200. In this sense, also the net value of both of them are similar, but here there is loss. So a certainty in loss or a high probability of loss make you risk seeking and you try to go for gamble, whereas a high probability of gain makes you a risk averse. So that's where we can understand from the previous graph that you become risk averse in high probability of gain and you become risk seeking in high probability of loss, and that's what we call loss aversion. So this is what we have to study in this reading this LOS. Please like, subscribe and share my channel, and please watch the previous videos and next videos on behavioral finance to get better understanding of this topic. Thanks everyone.